And last but not least, Nier, you potentially have one of the biggest series of the season, if not the biggest.
Um, I think it's easily the biggest non-sequel series
Yeah,
this
yeah,
season.
yeah, yeah. Not a sequel.
Yep. Um, I watched Sousou no Frieren, also known as
Yes.
Frieren Beyond Journey's End. This is
Yes.
a fantasy
Yes.
fantasy journey series, um, headed by Madhouse. Um,
Yes.
just a pretty
Yeah, what
storied
have they done
and
before?
Yeah.
nothing
Just like
much.
some shit. Yeah.
Yeah, just some
Some
fucking
shit.
garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, recently, obviously they've been doing the Overlord series with its many seasons. They did Place in a Pod, which I covered. They did Tactopus, which I covered. They did Sunny Boy,
All right, they did
which,
Sunny Boy. Yes.
if I remember correctly, got my Anime of the Year. The
Yes.
year it
Yes,
came
I
out.
believe it did. Yeah.
Um, before that, GI Fury 3, Aka
Yeah.
13. They did the Boogie Pop reboot, which wasn't very good, but
A
they've done a lot. They've been around
Place Further
for
Than the Universe was also quite good.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they've been around for a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, uh, I guess I'll go over the synopsis real quick.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty simple. Um, the story starts off at the end of the sort of hero's journey to defeat the Demon King. The heroes are successful and they're sort of coming back from their adventure. And our main character, Frieren, is or was the mage of the party, and it's a pretty typical, sort of stereotypical D&D party of 4 members. There's the hero, there's the mage, there's the priest, and there's the warrior. Um, and they're a bit of a ragtag group. They've all got their own quirks and charms. But at the end of their journey, they sort of look back, and pretty much all the parties except for Freeran go, you know, like that was life changing, right? Like that was a life
Yeah.
defining
Yeah.
sort of adventure. But Frieren, being an elf, sort of kind of just sees it as a blip on the radar because
Mm-hmm.
elves in this series live for many thousands of years. Um, so a journey such as this, which was only 10 years to her, um, is like, it's almost nothing, right?
You're right.
Um, and as they're sort of, having a party and, celebrating their victory, they observe a meteor shower that happens once every 50 years. Um, and Frieren sort of makes an offhanded promise um, to sort of watch the next one with her friends, right? And she sort of doesn't realize that 50 years is a kind of a long time for a human being. Um, and then the series sort of just kind of skips over the next 50 years, right? And then she returns to the city um, to, fulfill her promise. And then, pretty much all her friends are old now, right? They're old. Um, they've lived long lives. And after the meteor shower, the hero of the party, he passes away, right? Um, and this really impacts Frieren a lot more than she thought. And then she sort of, uh, I guess, decides to change the sort of direction of her sort of journey and sort of retread the steps of her adventure with her friends and sort of make sure that um, her memory of that sort of lives on with her, right? And
Right.
the
So
series, the
she's
series
not just
kind
like
of
casually sweeping over her memory or
yeah,
sweeping over the journey and being like, oh, it was nothing.
yeah, and the series sort of becomes a somewhat episodic journey series, sort of like a
Right.
Kino's journey
Right.
or a Majo no Tabi Tabi. Um, but it's sort of
Thematically, it's different.
yeah,
Thematically, it's different.
it's a very it's it's a much more, I feel, somber series, right? It
I
has
love it because it's like I feel like this has have you ever felt like I mean, like, we all I like almost I think all of us except for maybe Toast, like, I think we all love these sorts of, like, journey series, like, as a basis, right? Like,
yeah,
these are usually pretty good, right? Kin Hobby, Nasumi Chicho, whatever, like, Mushishi, like, usually all of these, like, are pretty good. But it's like, a lot of them also kind of, the one flaw, especially in recent times, right, that these sorts of series have faced is that thematically, what have they centered? They've centered around this sort of like kind of gray morality variant where it's just like a lot of it's like, are humans good or are they bad? Or like, do they suck? Like, you know what I mean? It's like
yeah.
it's
I
kind
feel
of been
like I
like
feel like
that.
Kino's journey really kind of set that precedent where, because
Yeah,
Kino's journey is
Kino
very
was
much.
acceptable because like it was the first of its kind
Yeah,
ish.
right. But
Yeah,
Kino's journey is very much sort of, it's just Kino sort of going from town to town
yeah,
in this
yeah.
sort of very melancholic
Yes.
world, and she's kind of just an observer, right? Like she kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
just
yeah.
goes from town to town, sees, you know, events transpire in these towns, and she doesn't really get involved, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it was very
exactly.
effective.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of Journey's series kind of like tried to emulate that. I mean,
Yeah.
Mushishi's
But
sure as shit did, right?
yeah.
Um, but a lot of them aren't quite as effective, right?
Yeah, because it's
Um,
like I think it retreads too much over the it's like humans can be kind, or it's like humans can no the order is like humans can be cruel and
yeah,
merciless, but there are humans that can be kind too, and it's just like that sort of like over and over and over again. That was just like okay, but like I also kind of saw this in the other journeys, right? Which
yeah,
was a little bit unfortunate, but this is like oblique, and it's like it's not focusing on like the can humans be good or do they suck? It's like it's just talking about like the passage of time, right?
yeah.
It's like
It is very much focused on the passage of time and how sort of how humans react to that, how they
mhm.
change over time, how
Right,
not
right.
only not only has does the human um like the personal experience of like growing old and sort of you
And
know
how they weigh their experiences
facing,
and
yeah,
like
you sort of
memories too.
face
Yeah.
your mortality head on
Hmm.
and look back on your life, but it also looks on collect like the human collective, right? And sort of
Right,
how
right.
even great events can be forgotten to the passage of time, right?
Hmm.
And the idea of people, like real people that really lived and had genuine experiences and stuff, sort of get like their stories sort of get warped
Yeah,
into
yeah.
something that like they never really lived um
Hmm.
through the passage of time, and it becomes sort of it becomes a fairy tale more than it does an actual chronicling of like a human life, right?
Hmm.
um and it does these themes really, really well, right?
Yes.
Again, it's a fairly somber series, but obviously it's certainly not lacking in comedy or action and stuff like that.
And
Um,
on top of that, I think obviously the author does a amazing job of telling the story. Like I'm not like taking it away from like
yeah,
anything. But it's also like the author has done a good job of breaking newer ground, right? It's like instead of again, it's like this is sort of the magic bullet or one of the magic potential bullets that the journey kind of this sort of genre needed in my
yeah. And I think it really helps that uh the journey that they're on isn't
Mhm.
like it isn't aimless, right?
Mhm.
And not only is it not aimless, but it is familiar like territory to Frieren, right? Like it is
Right.
personally like this route that she's taking on her journey is this effectively the same or similar route to
Mhm.
her journey to defeat the Demon King, right?
Right.
But it's 80 years later, and
Mhm.
human beings being the creature that they are, 80
Mhm.
years is a long time for people, right?
Right.
And so a lot of things have changed. So it's familiar to her, but it's also different, right? So it's capable of sort of treating this journey as a sort of nostalgic reminiscing event where it can, do a lot of flashback scenes that help to further develop Frieren as a character.
Mhm.
But it also sort of it can treat this like the original party almost as like a secondary cast that like isn't
Mhm.
really there anymore, but can still be
Mhm.
developed, right?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly, exactly.
it,
Because
it
they had backgrounds, it's just
yeah,
not revealed to the viewer yet. Yeah.
yeah. I think it's really, really smart. And
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
the fact that um the old party and the new party are sort of interlinked in a way due to whether they're familial connections or you know apprentices of the original party or something like that.
Mhm.
You can draw parallels between the old party and the new party and sort of show growth of like the human experience and the passage of knowledge beyond
Yeah.
generations, stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, the
It's
differences
all
generations, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's very, very well done. It's incredibly smart. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, so that's sort of the story. I don't really want to get like too into it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
just
Yeah.
because like I don't really want to spoil anything.
Yep.
Again, it is fairly episodic,
Yep.
but there is an end game, right? There is an end
Yeah.
goal. Um, and going into it too much sort of I guess kind of spoils a lot of the character development that these characters go through, which is extremely good.
Mhm.
The characters in this series are absolutely phenomenal. Um, but yeah, I just want to go over, I guess, sort of the production side really quick.
Mhm.
Um, the director is Keiichiro Saito, um, who's been in the industry for a while. He's predominantly an animator, right? Yeah, I think he started
Yeah, yeah.
getting real key animation roles back in like 2016 with stuff like Flip Flappers, Little Witch Academia, and then I guess he started working for Madhouse with Aka 13, right? And then he,
Okay.
started getting like storyboards and stuff as he goes on, and then he made his directorial debut with
Oh,
Bocce
what
the
the
Rock,
fuck?
if you remember.
Wow, this
Um,
guy has a good track record. What the
yeah,
fuck? Okay.
and I was curious actually, so I looked him up on the Sakugabur, right? And
Uh-huh.
uh, he's predominantly, from what I can tell, at least from a lot of the scenes that are credited to him
Mhm.
and uploaded, he is very good at character acting, right? Like just
Mhm.
like subtle movements, stuff like that.
Right.
And I think a good example of that is if you remember in Bocce the Rock, basically like that whole scene of Bocce sort of um like picking out her guitar, like he basically animated that
Oh,
entire thing.
shit.
Um, so
Yeah,
yeah,
I think this is super important because it's like it would be one thing if like let's say he got Frieren and he also got like let's say Chainsaw Man or like Dungeon Meshi or whatever, right? Because it's like yes, those would be two hits under his belt, but those two also are like very good source material, right? It's
yeah,
like you could just do a straight adapt and you would still get accolade, right? But it's like Bochi the Rock was slightly different because Bochi the Rock, the original source material was still fine, but it wasn't the star hit that it became due to the
yeah,
anime, right? So like he definitely showed his chops in being able to elevate that story into the animation medium.
yeah. Um, and then the other big name I wanted to shout out here, which will, I guess, um, segue into the audiovisuals is the music. The music
Mhm.
was done by Evan Call. Uh,
Oh yes.
yeah, he's done music for Violet Evergarden. He's done music
Mhm.
for Symphogear. He's done music for Muv-Luv. He recently
Jesus
did the
fucking
music
Christ,
for
man.
My Happy Marriage as well. Very talented. Um, and
Christ.
then
Yeah.
with that, segueing into the audiovisuals, uh, I think this is genuine masterclass audiovisuals. Uh,
Mhm.
I think this is like movie production tier audiovisuals. It is phenomenal. Um,
It's very good.
the animation is nonstop, always fantastic. The character acting in this series is absurd. The amount of like subtle movements, the amount of detail in characters just walking. Uh, there are scenes where characters are just like putting on or taking off their coat that are just like unreal, right? Like
Mhm.
um there's a lot of talent working on this for sure. There's a lot of like contract talent. Like trying to sort of like looking into the staff, I was trying to sort of see like a mainline thread for like, which sort of production Madhouse kind of pulled a lot of the talent from here.
Mhm.
But there kind of isn't one, right? There's a lot of
Yeah.
animators that sort of I think a lot of like the core Madhouse like staff here,
Mhm.
like permanent Madhouse staff here is remnants from the Sunny Boy production. That seems to be
Oh,
the
that makes
most
sense. Yeah.
predominant thread here.
Okay.
But in terms of like overall, it seems like they're kind of just bringing in guest animators from everywhere.
A lot of
Um,
subcontractors. Yeah.
yeah, because
Yeah.
there are Bones animators here. There are animators that I've looked at that previously worked for Kiwani that are sort of just freelance now. There
There's just like, okay, we need all of the good animators.
Yeah, like
Everybody get on this
there's a
train.
lot of talent on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it really shows. Like,
Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised if the production for this is sort of similar to something like how Naruto used to be run, where
Mhm.
you have like the core production staff, and then when you want to like have those scenes that really, really pop, you bring in all the guest like contract animators.
Yeah.
And it really shows with, episodes where, the episode where Stark fights the dragon, or, where Frieren fights Aura. These are
Or even
episodes.
the ending, the ending animation as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah, for
The
sure.
ending animation is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's really nice. Um, but yeah, again,
Yeah,
back to the
but it
music.
doesn't have anything that looks like it's from Gmod like Protocol Rain does, so you're gonna have to
That's
That is
true.
reconsider.
true. That is true. As for the music, I think it's amazing.
Yeah,
Um,
it's very good.
I think
Yeah.
like the sort of like it's a very, orchestra sort of, you know, um, it almost feels like a Disney movie, right? Um,
Mhm.
it's really good. Like the
I
just the general quality of it, and the sort of emotion behind it. It's very effective.
I
Um,
think it fits the sort of like you were saying that like almost like D&D party like
yeah,
style of fantasy like super well.
yeah.
Mhm. And
Um,
that's like his Evan Call's specialty as well from in like his on his like profile site and his like interviews and stuff like that. Like that's like what he specializes in, like
yeah,
this these
yeah.
like orchestral stuff.
Yeah, I mean he's very good at it, and he knocked it out of the park here. Um, and for the elephant in the room, the OPED, right? Um,
Uh-oh. All right. Yep.
so the OP, I think we've commented on it a couple times in previous
Yes.
episodes, but the OP, it's not very good. It's a YOASOBI OP. The song isn't bad. I like YOASOBI. Um,
Mhm.
the song is
But it
Yusha,
kind of like feels
right?
like they just hired Yoasobi because
Yeah, it kind
Yoasobi.
of it's kind of just like, well, we have a lot of money for this project, so we should probably get YOASOBI, right?
Yeah, because
Um,
all the kids love fucking
I mean, it's
Yoasobi,
also
yeah,
right?
it's
like
true. I do too.
lyrically, it just seems like this
It
shit was
seems,
just
yeah.
like
I
phoned
think
in.
tonally,
Like
yeah,
this shit was
yeah,
just
yeah.
Yeah,
like
I think
plugged
I
Tonally,
in.
just
think
a little bit.
I think the track doesn't really fit the theme or the vibe of the series. I think
Yep.
the visuals are pretty boring. They're not bad visuals by any means, but they're
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
pretty
the
boring.
the
They
way I
also
describe them
are
is like
not
they're like
paced very
vapid.
well with the song as well. It's kind of just a lot of, character close shots and stuff with a couple action sequences here and there. Um,
Yeah, and
the
there's like
ED,
the book scene
however,
is
the ED is phenomenal. I think the ED is really, really good.
ED is ridiculous. It's
yeah,
like one of the
the
first time, one of the
ED.
few times. Yeah,
Like I said,
it's one of the few
I think I
times where
said
I've
last
looked
time
at an
about it.
ED
Just
visually. It's
use
like,
it
oh my
twice.
god. Yeah, just do
just,
Yeah,
ED twice.
honestly,
Yeah.
they really
just
could have.
slap
I
that
mean,
thing at the beginning.
honestly, they could have just pulled the Sunny Boy and just not had an OP. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that would have been good. think that would have
Yeah.
been
I think that ending, I think that ending animation alone had like more art quality in it than an entire season of TQ. I'm not gonna
probably
lie.
Dude, I
probably.
watch that thing every single time. Like that is a no skip
Yeah,
ED. Like
it's really
Yeah,
good.
that's
Um,
very good.
yeah, the song is very phenomenal. It's very emotional. The visuals are very unique, very good, very well done. Um,
Mhm.
it's just top notch AD.
Yeah.
As for the voice cast, right? Um, I think it's pretty good. It's got some interesting choices. Frieren herself is voiced by Atsumi Tanizaki, who
Mm-hmm.
is eating well this season.
Yes.
She's doing Frieren. She's Anya from Spy Family.
Yes.
She's one of the sort of um, courtesans or whatever from
Oh, she did. She said too
Apothecary
for
Diaries. Yeah, she's also Chise in Mahoyome.
holy shit, I
Um,
forgot. Okay.
she's doing a lot this season.
Yeah, these
Um,
last couple years have been her years, like
yeah,
secretly.
yeah,
Not secretly, I guess, because it's like on the front you can see like Ueda Reina and like Takashirie, but like secretly like and like Akari Kito, right? Akari Kito because
yeah,
Demon Slayer.
yep,
But like behind that, like she's fucking been scooping up stuff.
yeah. And
Yeah.
she does work for this.
Yeah.
She's very good. I can't picture like anybody else voicing Frieren after hearing her voice.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah, it's very
Fern,
good casting.
which is Frieren's sort of apprentice, is voiced by Ichino Sakana. She does a very good job
Mhm.
here. Um, Personally, I always saw Fern as a Hayao Misauri character, but it's
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
I
Yeah.
think it's a good casting. I think she does a very good job. Um,
Mhm.
and then Stark, voiced by Sheki Kobayashi, he
Mhm.
does a pretty good, you know, shonen protagonist sort of voice. So it's a pretty good choice.
Right, right, right.
I think he's
Yeah.
good. I like Stark a lot. So you know, and then you have what's his name? Sign, which I think is the most recent addition to the new party, which is voiced by
Mhm.
Nakamura Yuichi. He does a
Mhm.
pretty good job doing this sort of jaded voice. He's pretty good. And then you have the
Mhm.
old party, Nobuhiko uh, Okamoto. He's doing his sort of generic sort of ikemen, um, sort of full of himself kind of voice, and he
Right.
does a very good job. You have Yoji Ueda, who does Aizen the dwarf. He's pretty good. Um, you have
I
Hiroki
might say the
Tochi
best
doing.
character, to be honest, but
He's pretty good. You have Hiroki Tochi doing Haiter, which is the
Priest.
alcoholic sort of um, the alcoholic priest of the former party, and yeah, they're all really good. It's all really good voice choice, and they definitely hit it out of the park. I do think
Mhm.
my only change would be Hayao Misari's Fern. I think that would be phenomenal. But
Mhm. That's definitely yeah.
Ichino Sakana does a very good job. Yeah, either way.
Mm.
Yeah,
Or like
overall,
or like somebody who could do like a even also like a similar like Tambra in that sort of supporting role cast would
yeah.
probably be Kana Hanazawa. I think
True,
those two
true.
probably would do similar tones with
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Um, but overall, this series is genuinely phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, like we said way back in the previews, right? Like they're like the only way like they could have fucked this series up would be like divine intervention.
Yeah.
Like God comes down and says, "I'm going to ruin your career now."
Yeah.
Like that
Corona
would
too. Here we go.
yeah, like that would be
Kind
the
of thing.
only
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
but not only did they not fuck it up, but I think they genuinely knocked it out of the park.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
But
I
I,
think
I think obviously both the story is very good, like amazing source material, but the animation obviously elevated it as
yeah,
well, which is great.
just the general adaptation is
Hmm.
like just very very good. It's well paced. Um, the emotional beats are very well done. The comedy is very well done. Um, Again, like the animation is just phenomenal. This series has pretty much everything going for it.
Yeah.
I think if you don't watch this show, you're an idiot, just straight up.
You don't really like anime if you
Yeah,
don't watch
I
Frieren. Like
think
you're just kind of just like, oh, I just want to watch One Punch Man. That's it.
yeah,
Like that's like
I think if you don't watch this, you like genuinely don't care about anime like as a medium. Like
yeah, exactly.
so,
It's very hard to like describe or capture like how fucking well this cast comes together. Like these characters play
Yeah.
off each other.
I also like this. Also, this isn't like something I usually mention, but it's like I really like how the background art and like the spells are kind of animated and like drawn, and
yeah,
how it kind of like it kind of blends in well with what they're doing. It's just like the characters are drawn obviously in like the hard lines, but it's like the background art and the spells and stuff like that. It's just like I really
yeah.
like it.
Another thing I do really like that I forgot to mention actually is I don't know if you noticed it or not, but this
Mhm.
series has sort of this very subtle um film grain like filter on it.
Yes,
And
yes,
I think
yes,
it
yes.
really elevates sort of the art and just the general style and mood of this show. It's very similar to Mushoku Tensei in that regard, because
Oh yeah,
Mushoku
yeah, yeah,
Tensei
yeah.
pulled a similar trick of having like a film grain thing to it.
Mhm.
I think it really helps with just setting this sort of tone of the world. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, it's just like on pretty much every layer imaginable. This show is fucking top notch. Um,
Yeah.
so
Okay,
yeah,
but
uh,
what if it had the film grain and it was in 480p when it released? Okay,
true,
have you thought
true.
about
Or
that?
it did that. What is it? Or it did that megalobox thing where it's
Yeah,
just
that's
like
what I'm
it
talking about. Yeah,
intentionally went like low. Oh yeah.
480p. Like,
Yep,
Yeah.
bro, it's an homage.
what what could have been? Just saying.
Yeah.
Oh my god. But yeah,
Um,
very very good.
yeah. Overall, you should watch it. I
Yeah.
think you're dumb if you don't. Um, and I think this is a like unironic 10 out of 10 show. Like
Yeah,
straight up.
it definitely like it helps. It's like something that you can watch with your parents for sure, and it's like it elevates the form, the medium, and it's like again,
Yep.
it's like something. If your parents were like, you watch anime, like this is something that you could show them proud.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah. What's my question is near. Do you think that this will win first place at or anime of the year at the Crunchyroll Awards?
I mean, what do you think would like even compete, right?
I
Like,
just think that they're gonna
I
pick
forget.
some fucking Demon
Does
Slayer
Crunchyroll
shit.
allow? Yeah,
Honestly,
do they allow season twos? Like, I don't think they have any rules against like giving it
I
they,
don't
to.
I
know.
have
I'm not
half
too
a mind.
sure.
I think they'll end up doing
They'll
some
probably
like
be like,
Attack on
ah, dude,
Titan
it's like
Part
Jujutsu
3, Part
Kaisen
Well,
4
for
yeah,
shit.
fucking
you think they'll
season
give
two.
anime of the year to fucking the like Attack on Titan like final OVAs or whatever?
Final OVA Part 3, Special
Yeah,
Part 4. Like I feel like they will. That's the thing. I'm like fucking like, oh man.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think anybody. I think they do. I think they do actually include season twos.
Yeah, that's what I'm
So
afraid of.
they'll
It's
probably
just
give
like,
it to like fucking
man.
Jujutsu Kaisen or something.
Yeah, at least it's Jujutsu Kaisen. At least it's
Yeah, but
Jujutsu
this is also
Kaisen.
I mean,
arguably not a hot season IMO for Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah.
Just in my
yeah,
opinion,
but
I think season one was better.
yeah, I don't know. I think anybody
Mm.
that takes the fucking Crunchyroll awards seriously is
Yeah,
fucking
especially since their
huffing
timeline
gas
is so
straight up.
weird.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know what that shit's all about. But yeah. Anyways, any last words?
No, you should watch it. Uh,
Yeah.
it's good. It's
Pretty
definitely the
good.
best of the season. It's
Mhm.
pretty much I think it's pretty much shoo-in for anime of the year.
Yeah,
You
it's
know, I'll
I
have to
think I would
go.
have to skim a little bit, but it's
Yeah,
very
I'll
hard
have
to
to go
even like
back
think of like other
and
contenders.
double check
Yeah.
some other stuff. I still
Yeah.
have to finish Heavenly Delusion, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
you know, it's looking pretty strong, right? So
All right. Well, thank you very much, Nier. And you heard him. If you haven't fucking watched Frieren, go watch Frieren, or at least read the series.
Yeah.
Just go and do it. Do both.